It was coming,
Are we ready, Michelle?
I was hustling. I could tell it was looming.
Well, especially here, no matter where you park or something.
I'm going to call this meeting of the Budget Advisory Committee to order. Roll call, please.
Sure. Chair Bergman,
Here.
Vice Chair Hall,
Here.
Ms. Major,
Here.
Ms. Ailes,
Here.
Ms. Howard.
Here.
First item on the agenda, discussion and update of the budget.
Thank you, Chairman. What I thought I'd do, last time you all met was July 20th. There was one more budget workshop with the board on July 27th. I just thought I'd briefly go over some of those items. One of them is this legal size sheet here. They asked us to put together, the capital projects that are out there and the status of them. So on the first page, we put, the capital projects that were approved and they're budgeted in process, and we listed all of them, all the projects in process with the budgeted cost. Then the next column over, if there were ARPA funding involved or grant funding. And then, when it was board approved. So we listed all those projects that were, currently ongoing. It's just, if you got any questions on them, just let me know and stuff.
So when you say board approved, it's not started yet?
They might be board approved by the board, but they might, they're not, actually, construction hasn't started. The design has probably started, but not, maybe possibly not the construction.
Okay, because I know Craig Park, it says it's early design stage.
Yeah.
That's why I asked, yeah.
Yeah, we tried to put the status of them there.
Okay, I'm happy with that, but I'd like for you to speed up the Craig Park, please.
I'll do my best. And on the second page, we started the capital projects budgeted, construction not started with reallocation possibilities. And I think what this all started from, a lot of projects are coming in over budget. Is there some money in some projects that maybe we can hold off on some projects and use, maybe use that money that we're holding off, or if we're pushing the project out a couple years, and use it for some other projects that are coming in over budget. So that was the thought process between part of this spreadsheet. And so on that second page, North Pinellas Corridor, $500,000, Orange Street construction, $950,000, Jasmine Sidewalk Sports Complex to Mellon, $500,000. From the discussion, they still wanted to, doing the North Pinellas Corridor, the beautification. Orange Street construction, they asked that, they wanted to look into what's being done and if, rebricking and stuff, and what they were actually doing within that project. So they asked the project administration director to look into that.
Is
The
this
what-
the same as the project that would alter how the parking is handled on Orange? Or is that a different project?
That's a different project. And then Jasmine Sidewalk Sports Complex to Mellons, it seemed like there might be some issues with that. So that was one that they said, okay, maybe we can push that back a year or so if we need the money from that one. And they did, and we're going to use that money for part of the Elfers Spur, because that one's coming in over budget. It's Elfers Spur, the trail that goes across the Anclote here. Then it got down to the Sponge Docks flood abatement, which has some ARPA funding and grant funding. They seem to be, my notes here said that they want to have a different set of eyes look at it. I think there's a lot involved there, especially if they have to do this vault system, which is right on in the Sponge Docks area, and trying to divert traffic and stuff. So they still wanted to look into that project. And I don't say whether they're going to do it or not, but that's what they were still looking into that one. Elfers Spur, that's the one I just mentioned. They needed some more money on because we had about $700,000 in the budget. They needed $1.4 million, so we needed more money for that. Then down below was some project with no funding at all that has been on sort of the, I don't want to call it the wish list, with the Cops and Kids new building, Whitcomb Bayou flooding, Whitcomb Bayou construction, design and construction, a golf course clubhouse, hurricane hardened the community center, some spoil site land. They talk about, since we should be dredging every so many years, I can't remember if it's 10 years or 15 years, that maybe we should buy a piece of land instead of leasing a piece of land. So that's been floated out there. And then Craig Park Phase 2, the other side of Craig Park, for funding for that. So that was that spreadsheet. I don't know if you have any questions on it.
So have all these been approved in some way and they just need the funding? Or the ones with no funding, once they get the funding, then they'll go for approval?
Right. Mostly ones have not gone before the board yet on the second page yet.
So once you get the funding figured out, then it goes there?
Yes.
So on the first page, the ones at the bottom don't show ARPA or grant funding, so those are just budgeted dollars then?
Those last four items are already budgeted within the water and sewer fund.
Okay.
Yeah, if you don't see ARPA funding or grant funding, that's out of either like water and sewer fund or the penny fund.
Okay. Any other questions on this spreadsheet? Okay, thank you, Ryan.
Well, I'll go to the next one that was on that same item with the budget workshop, was this one here. It's just a two-page up top. It's called Capital Requested but Not Budgeted. So we went through, I met with departments, the city manager and I, and we prioritized all the projects that were out there, that when can we possibly fund them, and maybe what's more required, what's more urgent, repairs and maintenance, something, like AC systems and fire panel replacement. So what we did is we categorized this document by year. So at the top of the first page, we've got fiscal year 2022-23. Those are the ones we're going to fund in this current year, those projects. And then we're going down to fiscal year 23-24 to fund those out of next year's budget. Then we went to 24-25 on the second page. And then 25, 26, 26, 27, 27, 28. Now, like I say, we work with the department heads who had these projects just to prioritize them. What's the urgency on some of these projects? I know there's a lot of them out there, but we had to trying to balance the money too. I'm just quick going over the meeting from the budget workshop, the last one with the board and stuff.
What some of these are, in terms of the view of the urgency now, they're subject to change as time goes on.
Oh, yeah, the Public Works Director might be up here today if an AC system breaks and all of a sudden it wasn't expected. So, yeah, that's why I try to keep a little maintenance reserve out there of a couple $100,000 just for items like that.
Any questions on this document?
I know at one time the board had requested, this has been probably years ago, that a maintenance schedule be put together, and that's happening now, right? Future maintenance.
Yes, we've got that. We tie that in with the budget, what items, if it's on the schedule, and we get that in, those projects into the budget.
Any other questions on this? Okay, Ron, thank you.
The next item that was on that workshop, and I won't go into too much, was just a brief on the salary administration and the plan, but we were still working on it at that time, about moving the minimums and the maximums 5%, ongoing analysis of positions updates and upgrade changes, working at one reorg with the Public Works Department and two new police officer positions and one position in building development. And then, there was some for the allocation for the new city manager position, if and when that comes about. Hopefully not for long. So that was the salary part of that item on the 27th. And then they wanted, they had us put together a CRA budget, but basically you already have it. It was like the budget award book, and we put together a separate budget. And it all comes about because it looks like there's some things procedurally we need to be revising within the CRA, and that's going to be coming up at the next meeting. So they just wanted to get a separate budget document together. So that was the meeting from the board meeting, the budget workshop on July 27th.
Okay.
Then I just, not too many changes, just going forward from there. Since then, the police and fire union contracts have been approved, and those salaries have been put in the budget. The other thing was, and I've got this one document, proposed budget update. Really, it's all the, I've been telling you, all the insurances that we've got estimates so far. But now we've got the actual cost of the premiums that came in. And as you can see, you know, we're going health insurance. We budgeted 10%, actually came in at 7%. So if you go, I'm sorry.
I just say, good.
Okay. Yeah, well, what I got on that page, you can probably read what we budgeted, the actual cost that came in, and then the increase and decrease. So you can see health insurance, we saved about $88,000. Dental and life insurance, there was no increase, so we're saving another $12,000 on dental, $5,300 on life compared to what we budgeted. Workers' compensation, we budgeted 10%, it came in at 3%, so we were saving about almost $29,000. Now I get down to property liability insurance. The first one's property insurance. We budgeted 50%. It came in last week at 151%. So we budgeted $464,000. It came in at $777,982. So we're short about $313,000. Then we go to general liability, 10%, came in about 12%, so we need another $7,900. Auto liability, 10%, budgeted, actual 43%, so it's about $26,000 more. Cyber liability, budgeted my 10%, came in at 5%, so actually decreased to $75. Auto physical damage, budgeted 10%, actual is 9%, so we're saving about $403. So total property liability, what we did budget was $958,000. The total with those was $1.3 million, so I need about $347,000. And then I got the grand totals at the bottom there for all those insurances. So I think that's all I had on. I just have the budget timetable on the last slide, so I don't know if you got any questions on any of that stuff.
Just curious, I'm sure they didn't, but was there any rationale provided for the increase of the property insurance, or they just kind of sent you the rate there for the increase on the property insurance, the 50%?
The increase of 151%.
Yeah.
Well, they said, you know, the taxable value of the property went up 36% from 87 million to 118 million.
Right.
I think a lot of it is also dealing with, from what I'm hearing, with the results after the hurricanes last year and stuff. And
Okay.
I
So
think
they
it's
just,
widespread
it is.
increases. I know, I've heard of people doubling at least on their homes and things. So.
Yeah, I've seen, I get the email chain from some of those finance directors, and I've seen from 40% to 200%.
yeah.
So I guess us being on the coastal line here, we're a little bit more and stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm expecting to see the worst. I haven't got my renewal on the homeowners yet. Mine's not due till November.
Good luck with that.
I know.
Save up.
I didn't know if you had any more questions on the insurances.
So is the takeaway from this that we're 212,000 short right now?
212,000, but I did save aside another 100,000 for insurance, you know, so roughly I have 80%. So I don't have all of it, but yeah. I still need a couple
The
100,000.
values, where did they come in versus, do you have the heads up on that yet? Or you won't know until they mail them out?
The taxable values?
Yeah.
Well, the certified values came out July 1st, so the city was at 11.67%.
And you were estimating,
Well, I estimated originally 5%, and then the county sends out estimates, and it was 12.33, but then when it came to the certified values, it came down to 11.67. That's a taxable value increase.
I missed last month, you probably went over that then.
One of my stuff.
You know, and you mentioned that the police negotiations were done. How did that come in based on what you had tentatively budgeted?
Well, they came in over the 5%.
Okay.
You know, the police ended up being, 12.5% for the first, it's a 3-year contract. So it's 12.5, I think 7 and 7 for the 2 out years.
No, less. I thought it was like 4 and 4 or something.
4 and 4, okay. Fire just came in, and it was 15, 5, and 5 for the 3 years, 15% for the first year.
So meaning that they gave them more than what we budgeted.
Yes.
Okay, and I'm just curious how that works. The commissioners decided this, or who decided that we're gonna give them more than what was budgeted?
Well, the commission has a vote on it. They approved it.
So really, this is just suggestions here.
Yeah.
Got it.
But based on the budget we looked at before, how do those figures now impact that?
The current budget, well, I mean, fortunately, we had the taxable value increase of the 11.67%. So we had, 1.1 million I had sitting in reserve, to offset that increase. It didn't need all that, but
Yeah.
I have that.
Okay.
And does the year one increases, that gets us more competitive with Tampa? I know that was the concern.
Exactly.
Well, the goal was, and how you had to structure it, you needed to get to the $60,000 starting pay, and we were like 52, 50. That's why you saw the increments.
Right. It's
That's
a big-
why
big
you had to
voting
get
year
up to
one.
the starting pay, or you weren't, you had to get up to that starting pay, or you weren't going to get there. Unfortunately, the ones in negotiations now, whereas that contract that we signed and we got up there in the 60s, the new bars probably going to be in the 63 to 65 range. So unfortunately, when it comes October or November, we still may be $3,000 to $5,000 off even, but you can't price yourself out. I mean, that was the best we could do to get us in the ball game and not get so far behind. But even the sheriff's department, which was one of the last ones to really go up, because it was always, we're the sheriff's department, we can pay less because they've got the advancement, they got all the advantages of things you can do there. But they've even had to come up to top that 60,000 mark for their people. So while it looks like a lot, and it gets us where we'd be in serious trouble if we did it, we're still going to be probably come October, November, a little bit behind the 8 ball. But again, I imagine they'll be different because they'll be probably 3-year contracts too. So maybe we catch up some in year 2 and 3. And again, those are all in negotiation now, so we won't probably know those till October and stuff. But they were both necessary, and the goal of both of them. And it was kind of the commission. The commission knew this was coming ahead of time in talking with them, and that's all. They kind of gave the edict. Listen, the numbers are out there. This doesn't need to be a negotiation or something. The numbers are out there. We want to have ourselves competitive for hiring the officers and firefighters of the other places. So we expect you to take all those numbers, tell you where you have to be, and then we need to get you there. And it was an unusual negotiation because usually, you're jockeying and you're throwing out high numbers, expecting the city to throw out low numbers, then you come in the middle. But everybody knew the edict, go there. You can go get the figures and look at them. And that's why you see, there's a lot of usually in contracts like that, the benefits that go down the line that are little things you don't see, increases in pay or special pays or stuff. There was very little of that in there because everybody knew the concern was. So this is a low heavy on the benefit side and just strictly dealing with the salaries because everybody knows it was one of the few times that everybody was just, crunching the numbers and where do we need, okay, we know the starting rooms in the 60 area. How do we get to the 60 area? So we're with them. So it was really unusual from past contentious negotiations back and forth because they knew the figures are out there to show. So.
So Mark, I'm new at this and
Yeah.
I'm learning about all, and you've been chief of police. Is it that important for us to be competitive in price with a big city of Tampa and the town of Tarpon Springs?
Well, you can't get to the Tampa level, but you just need to be in the ball. And you got the ones doing it. Tampa's competing with St. Pete. So when Tampa does it, then St. Pete goes way at the north. You can't go up and compete with them. You can't. You just can't hit their level. because they're at the 67, 68, 69. You can't get there. But you got to get there with the rest of the Largos, the Clearwaters, the Pinellas Parks, those other agencies where you're comparable to. You got to be in line with those agencies because the ones that go just for the money are going to go there anyway, and you can't do that. So the whole thing in line, you kind of take Tampa and St. Pete and throw them out, and you're trying to get to those ones that are comparable. And what Pinellas Park does, the Largo and the Clearwater, is the same as us. There's no different because we're smaller. Everything's the same. So, but you can't go out there and try to price yourself to do the Tampa St. Pete competition. You just can't do it. You just got to be in the, always our philosophy, even back in my days as chief, is you want to be on the right side of middle. I mean, here's the middle, here's the norm. You don't want to be on that left side of normal. You want to be just over that median point. You want to be on that side of the median where you go to, and that's the whole attempt of trying to get to. And where to be to compete, because you can compete with some of the things we got a couple thousand off, 2,000 or 3,000 off. You can compete against. Don't even try to compete with the Tampa and St. Pete's where you're 9,000 off. You just you just can't do it. You appeal with the other ways and the other things that we have in the agency and stuff. So that's always been that, way back however many years that go when I was chief, it was almost the same. You just got to stay a little above the median to be able to compete. You're not looking for top salary. You want to stay out of that below medium and get somewhere in that, in that point between halfway and in that point there. That's been a consistent goal that hasn't changed in those negotiations.
Thank you.
Any further questions on the budget update? Okay, Ron, what's next?
Well, that was agenda item number 1. Now I was going on to item number 2, and I did just a brief little outline here on the salary increases. And tried to go back on the first page, just to go back in history here, going back to 2014. Everybody's looking for, the minimums to get to $15 an hour. So in 2014, the city manager was working on that process of trying to get the $15 an hour. At that time, in 2014, we had 80 full-time positions that were below $15 an hour. So over the years, I think every year since 2014, we've graduated to lower salaries. So really, if we funded 3%, we probably did, the lower salaries got 5%, 4%, and then the rest, everybody got 3%. And so like this year, we've budgeted 5%, and now we're doing 8.5%, 8%, 7, but so we're trying to get them up, and we did that last year. We got everybody up to $15 an hour last year.
A year early from what we thought we were going to do.
Where were they to take 10 years? Seriously.
$10 an hour, $11 an hour.
Yeah.
Not trying to balance the funding for them. So on the next slide, we're starting to hear that some other cities are looking towards $18 an hour, other cities and counties. So, we looked at our,
Who's doing that? Is it?
Yeah, this was brand new. We thought we had everything set. We're a year ahead of our goal.
Right. Yeah.
We're set this year. Originally,
sure.
before August, whatever the first week of August, when I went to the the Pinellas City and County Managers meeting, we had a 5%. We didn't have to do the graduated. Had everybody above 15. We're going good. We got there by not causing the compaction of the workplace because we gave so the people moved along the line. So we thought we were in a pretty good place that this year we could just do, originally we thought 3, and then when I was at the May conference of the state city manager and stuff, everybody was in the 5 to 7 area. So I said, okay, Ron, you got to immediately, right now, move at the 5 and don't even move because everybody's 5 to 7 that I talked to at that conference. So 5 was pretty good. It was, some are 7, some are 4. I don't know anybody around here is 4 or 4.5 or less. So we thought we was good. And then when I walked in that meeting, Pinellas County and the city of Largo announced that, and the county manager made a pretty impassioned speech that his employees just can't live on that with all the costs, the grocery stores, the $1.99 macaroni and cheese is $4.99. The examples, they just got to do it, and they have decided as a group, and county has got a lot of money to fund a lot of their projects. They got a little. But them and the city of Largo announced the new thing of we're going to starting at $18 an hour, and you can see all the cities around the table, even the Clearwaters, even the other ones sit there and say, "What? What?" And immediately I came back and told him, well, we thought we were done, but we're back to we need to go back in the drawing board because we can't get a year behind. But okay, let's do the 5 and let's start catching up next year. Because again, it's not just the starting pay, it's to keep from the compression. So you got to gradually move if you're going to 18, you got to gradually move the ones that are 16, 17, 18, 19, and 20 now. You got to get them up, or you're going to have starting people making the same as 3-year people. And so the whole bottom realm is threw off kilter by the attempts to do that. So our new plan is a 2 or 3 year effort to get there. I think after 10 or 11 configurations, Ron, I'll give him credit, he finally came up with the configuration that seemed to be the fairest, because when we do these things, you put them on numbers, he puts a spreadsheet on, he said, wait a second, this compacts here, this doesn't work here, we got somebody who's making less, goes over the person there because it was at the cutoff of the 0.5, so you look at them, nope, that one's out, and then you do another one, okay, now we just impacted another group of employees, so that one's out. So the one you're seeing on here that starts at 8.5, and go, which starts at the $15 and above people, to where the cutoff of the people who make where we were at the 5% is $20.57 is where we moved down to start the raise that we had anticipated for everybody to start that process moving. Luckily, it wasn't as bad as we thought. You thought it was going to be it's a lot less because of what we've done the past 2 or 3 years with these graduates. The compaction was a lot less impact. What was the money it's probably on your slide or something. The cost of this was a lot less than we thought.
The cost is not, a lot of, the lower salary positions, and, about half of them are part-time positions too. So, the cost, in total, you mean going up to 18?
Yeah, I guess I'm going to your page 3 of yours.
Yeah.
I'm jumping ahead to your page 3.
Okay. I mean, I can go ahead to page 3 or so.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah,
the
go
city,
ahead.
like the city manager said, we looked at we got a spreadsheet with every employee going from the lowest salary to the highest salary. And it was just like, say, Mark said, we looked at the gaps, trying to make sure we somebody didn't go above somebody else and stuff. And that's what we came up with. If you look, the first range was 8.5%, and 17 employees are there. The cost, if you go all the way to the far right, for this over the 5% funding is $11,862. Then we went to 8%, we got 21 employees there. The additional cost is $14,117, and 7.5%. There's only 4 employees in that group, so it's about $1,500 cost over the 5% funding. 7% additional cost of $14,697, 6.5%, $7,183. 6% pay increase, an additional cost of $10,629, and 5.5%, just $2,601. And highlighted in yellow, the total cost for those increases above the 5%, highlighted in yellow, is the $62,657. I also highlighted in green, when we do the payroll budget, it's hard to try to know who's going to be vacant position and new in position. So we're budgeting 5%. So there's some budgets in there that have the vacant positions with 5% funding, or if there's new positions that just got hired, we might have budgeted 5%, but they're not going to get it because they just got hired at their salary and they're not going to get an increase on October 1st. So in green, we've got $101,000 there available. So we're going to use $62,000. Then if you look down in blue, we've got $38,000 still left over from that $101,000. Can be used for regrades or something like that, or position changes. So that's how we broke down the funding here to try to make it work. After this first year, I'm estimating we still might have 30 people that'll still be under $18 an hour. 13 full-time and 17 part-time will still be under the $18. Some are just right below $18. So, I guess that's all I got on that.
What was the total amount of the budget that we had to come up with to make up the difference from what we anticipated versus the reality for police and fire?
For police and fire? For the union contracts? We needed about $514,000 $514,232 for the police, just the union ones. And we needed
For
a,
the increase, to cover the increase?
no, we need, of that, we needed about 200,000 for them.
To cover the increase
Yeah,
at the 12.5%.
yes. And the fire union came to 484,000.
Cover the increase
Yeah,
at 15%.
yeah,
And what did we predict
about 175,000.
total, or,
Yeah.
so we found a way to come up with.
Well, and
something
that was the money we had
400,000?
from the property tax
No,
increase.
no, no, I
Yeah.
understand. I'm just saying in terms of people who work for the city and wages and all that kind of stuff. Okay, that just makes this conversation, seem easy.
Right? If you can find that much, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, if we didn't have the property taxable value increase, it might have been a little bit.
No, I'm just saying,
yeah.
but in terms of this, I mean, you've got how many people doing other jobs that are also important? I mean, they're all important, right?
Right.
They all make the world go round, and, so I'm just saying, like, I just was curious to know, so if it was so a total of 684,000 for the increases for those two departments, and we'd originally thought 175, so I'm just saying, that was a lot to swallow.
Yeah.
And then, so that's, I think that it's very,
Yeah, between the two of
the
them,
city should find a way to make that
I
happen.
think it was right around 400,000 we
that
had budgeted. We need another 600,000 for the increase over the 5% between the two of them.
Yeah, I think the pay increase percentage across the different sort of groupings you have makes sense because, yeah, I'm sure in some of the 11 iterations you did of this, there was situations where if you increase one, just like you said, then you got somebody new starting that's getting paid more than somebody that's been here for several
Right.
years, or somebody that's managing somebody that's getting paid less than, yeah, all those different things. So it seems like you took a very holistic approach, looked at sort of everybody, how everyone would be impacted, and it definitely seems to make sense to me.
How many open positions make up the 101,000?
I would say there's probably about 12 to 15 open positions currently.
I remember we had a list a few meetings ago.
Yeah.
Have there been improvements made on that? I know.
Yes, I mean, at that time, I think police had 5 vacant positions. Now I think they have 3. So yeah, there has been some filling of positions. Then there's got some positions, leaving our sustainability coordinator left, but I think Paul's got a new one coming in, hopefully, but.
Poor Ron's hasn't changed. His number 2 and number 3.
But there's hope out there. There's hope. There's a.
That's provided a lot of money for this thing.
We won't mention who left.
Yeah, yeah.
No, I know that when we've had the prior meetings, there's been a lot of conversation from everybody about how hard it is to find people. And there's been a lot of concern about filling positions and their inability to fill positions and whatnot. And just, I happened to stumble on someone in a public forum discussing that. And the city has a reputation for not replying to people, apparently, and not, and,
Well,
I
being
don't know.
slow in the
Yeah, very
process.
slow,
I didn't
and
encounter that personally, but that
but
was
you
some
may
of the
have known
complaints.
some people, people who don't know people, you know? I'm just saying, like, I just was curious to know, from an HR perspective, and I know there was some conversation about how the city manager position, how it was posted, where it was posted, the money spent, smart money, not smart, I don't know. And where jobs are posted, and does the HR department, like, have a protocol for making sure people get the feedback loop? Because I understand, you know, sometimes people aren't a good fit. I'm not saying that everybody should get a job just because we have jobs. I'm saying, though, that you definitely don't want people to not bother because the city of Tarpon has a reputation for not really hiring. You go into an abyss, you know. I spoke to 2 people on the phone today because I'm going to hire one of them at my manufacturing. He can't get on with your wastewater. I do wastewater too. But just to say, like, I was just curious to know, like, well, did the money really fit? Like, were you overqualified? Like, I just wanted to really have a grasp on it because everybody said the same thing. And that made me say, oh my goodness, yes, we need to do things differently. But for sure, you need to get back to them.
Yeah. Well, my aspect, again, I don't know what you heard from the department, my aspect is this all is primarily about retaining your good employees because everywhere, both conferences, everywhere, the problem of getting people, and some of the people we get, we've never seen people last so little time. I mean, they'll get I think one of them was one of your jobs, one of your jobs, they got to in 2 weeks or something like that. Oh, no, this is too much work. We're seeing more. You've never seen the impact of people getting on going. But everybody knows how I loathe social media, so I only get people calling and telling me, and I heard about that post and looked at it. The funny thing and the problem with social media and the people, you know, the one person that went for a job, the hiring in HR was 2 people internally from the city. And I don't know how that all went, but there are 2 up-and-comers within the city that came from other areas, and I imagined they interviewed them first, but they got the jobs for the HR, and I don't know about the Notica. Look, HR is looking with IT to work on a new program. Unfortunately, IT has been tied up with a bunch of the other programs, some serious ones we needed. They haven't got to that yet, but they know to look for a new application process, fill out online, tracking, automatic notice. So they are looking for that aspect now. But the notice has come out. I looked in 2 of the other ones that hadn't got notice yet in the job. I think one of them applied August 4th, and the other one applied August 7th. So usually you leave those things 30 days to see what your applicants before you pick your first list to interview. And then sometimes if that first list don't go, so some of the ones on there, 2 weeks is not the anxious times to go on there.
I'm just saying, perception is reality
Yeah.
for people, so
Yeah.
as much as you
They're
don't
not
like it,
making
people
money.
do follow
Yeah.
it, and then they, and so I
Yeah,
just was just.
well, I don't like it, but usually when it comes out and you look at it, well, I ain't got notice yet. Well, you only applied August 4th, and the position's still open. 'Cause I'm sure they're waiting a time to get applications in. But that's not to say the need for us to have new programming and a new system, one of the latest softwares. But those things take so much time, as they even can attest to. That's getting new software and programs through. But that is definitely the next need that IT has to work on to try to get that human resources ability to put those things out and go to a more modern system of trying to give notice to the people. So I'm glad some people went on there and said, yeah, I applied, and they told me fast. They told me no, but at least I got notice, and they told me fast. And so there's a variety out there, but it's definitely an area to improve.
I just
and
was
to go on.
recognizing every single person said, nobody wants to work, and I was like, well, maybe they just want.
Well, that is the type of job, and some of the problem with the people that's been putting in, they're putting in way out of their field. Like I know for a cashier's job, obviously you're looking for somebody who's had some cashier working with money, and some of the people applied just had none of that, or they just put in for jobs because they're jobs, and when you get to the type of the qualifications, they don't have anything the people are looking for. But we've also had a couple of them recently. They've looked on the application and say, hey, you're nowhere near this one, but pass it over to Paul Smith, or pass it over. You've got experience. You've got in your background experience in maintenance, building maintenance. You got here and stuff. You don't have much for this job, but hey, do you have any openings and stuff? You need this guy or girl's in the pool. You guys have an opening. This is somebody you need to go, because they do have. Because a lot of people are just trying to get in somewhere, which there's nothing wrong with. I tell people, you get in wherever you can in the city, and then, like you say, we love seeing future stars and promoting from within, that you're worth that, and you can move. We've had so many people in the city start out different places and move up into different places and go to. So we are working on that process and stuff. But again, the biggest thing is retaining these people, and it's tough all over. I mean, every city says the same thing. So
We just need to keep the negative stuff, though, as much as we
Yeah,
can
and that's
off.
yes,
Because
so
Yeah.
just even
why would you
everybody getting-
apply to Tarpon Springs if that's what you're seeing on our forums?
yeah,
And I don't know which one you're talking about, but I know I see quite a bit of negative stuff about Tarpon Springs.
Yeah.
And, including the whole commissioner meeting that just went down. I mean, it's kind of like we're turning into a circus. So we need to pull that in, and so we can not only raise
Yes.
the salaries, but, attract the people we need to.
no,
come
definitely,
stay.
definitely. And the sad thing is it's happening all over the state. It's not just an isolated.
All over the world. I get that.
I know
That
the world.
doesn't make it
I
right.
don't go the world because I don't control. But Florida, every coast, everything is the same. It's not the same. It's the same theme, but not the scenario. It's, you know, it's unfortunate. But you're right. We need to get that and.
Small town, and we should show them how it's supposed to be done.
That's why I like that citizen engagement. If anyone used the citizen engagement format we have now, that's a great way. Please, people, leave Facebook and that junk alone. Come when we do these engagement things. Please tell us there what you want to do and where you want to go. Because some people bring something up and you call them, well, have you talked to the city anything about this? Well, no. Well, shouldn't you try to get somebody to talk to you here before you go out and post things and stuff? But that's just the way of the world. So,
It's attention seeking, and and that's why I was like,
yeah.
I know there's reasons. For me, it's more about the fact that if people have that feeling, if maybe to them a week is a long time,
Yeah.
you know, or whatever. And so even the immediate, and I know it takes work to have that. If you apply online, then you get an automatic, we've received it. It takes us 3 weeks to get back to you. I think that's all people really
Yeah.
want, just to have the reputation of, and two, there's just general frustration.
Yeah.
A lot of people have jobs posted that then they don't really get back
And
to
again,
them, you know.
it kind of hurt HR because they had 2 positions. 2 out of their 4 positions was open. So
Yeah.
obviously it's going to be a little slow until you can fill them. But again, hopefully whatever IT platform we can get for them and do that, and you know, get the ability to fill it out, actually fill it, not do the paper, actually fill it out online, submittal, and have process. I think we're going to see a lot better with that system when we get that in place. And that is a priority. That's one of the priorities, the next IT priorities to do, is they've been working feverishly over the cybersecurity's almost tied up that whole division for the last year and a half. So hopefully they can breach out and, you know, because there's a couple other, you know, the building, we're getting that software. We got this building software, but you got to teach people how to, you know, use it. There's a lot of things in there you got to teach and use. So, and building is another equivalent. You know, I like people like to express building complaints or permit complaints everywhere else but us. We like them to come directly to us because sometimes we messed up and we need to know where we can mess up so we can fix them. A lot of the times, 80% of the time, it's the contractors. The city's waiting for permits, and you go look and the contractor hasn't even put the permit in yet. But there's certain cases where it's on a desk, buried in something, the people saying, we haven't heard in 3 weeks, go look, it's buried on the desk. Well, why is it we need to do a system that's different from being buried on the desk? So as we hear about some of these things, you know, we'll get to them and correct them, so.
That's
That
part of the-
happened with my contractor recently,
Did it?
yes. Because I said, I'm gonna go up there. I volunteer, I'd give too much time, this is ridiculous, it had been months. And he's like, no, don't do that, because then it makes me look bad or whatever, and I'm like, seriously? I mean, it's my house.
Or they'll tell you, oh, the process, they'll stall. If you go up there and complain, they're going to.
He went up there, and sure enough, they said, we're down 2 people, and it was sitting on a desk, and they went back, and that's not okay.
No, it's not.
Yeah.
And you'll like, as you see things, he's brand new, but our new building official we brought on, he's already hitting the ground running on a lot of those, on a lot of things that was going on in improving. He's moving fast, and he's only been on 2 weeks, 3 weeks. But he knows all the issues, and advantage is he used to work here. So he used to work here. He got some building. He was an assistant building official. He went a couple other places as a head building official. Saw some of the same problems that we have now. So he's known them. He's fixed them, and he's coming here to do that. So you're going to see a big change. And again, you know, the computer programs are nice, but you got to utilize all the facets of it, and it takes some time. So I think you're going to see some real changes in that permitting, and to not have those mishaps happen, because there'll be a tracking system to alert somebody. Here's this one came in, and there's no action on it, and to get an alert, and okay, let's look, where is it sitting there? Where is the thing sitting, or what happened to it, or you know, one of those circumstances stuff. So.
You know, and it's not an excuse, but they've had a lot of turnover down there, and some of their staff, key people, you know, went to another department, you know. So yeah, they've got some turnover, but yeah, with Dave getting in there, I think that'll be good. Plus, one of the new positions is somebody to help out with that department. They're finding out that they need somebody to be able to sort of coordinate everything, because before, I think they come in, the permit people would have to come up to the window to answer it and stuff. So now they're gonna have somebody there to coordinate all the items that come in there. So hopefully that'll help out.
Anything else, Ron?
Well, I just wanted to give you that, just to show you the methodology and how we came up to the percentage increases. And we also sent you out this nice packet of stuff, but I don't know if you've ever seen it before, but every year for the pay plan, it has to be approved by the board. So this is a resolution with everything in it showing, the pay we just saw here, any position adjustments. Most of it's just the first 3 or 4 pages. The whole rest of it is all the job descriptions that may be changing or being revised slightly and stuff. So that's what that is. I'll go before the board next Tuesday.
So Tuesday, that's when the increases get voted on, is Tuesday night?
Yes. This coming Tuesday.
I say the difference is that's got to be approved by a resolution. So that's one of the things that doesn't wait till October when you go through the public. That has to be done by a resolution of the city. So that's why that's the one thing from the budget that actually goes on a separate agenda and gets approved.
Quick question, the packet I saw as the backup item for agenda item number 2 is I think the memo, Mark, from you dated August 22nd, that kind of goes through the increases and then
That's
has
what-
the
that's-
attachment.
Mhm.
Is
Yeah.
that what
Yeah.
you're holding up
That's what
there?
he's
Okay, I
Yeah,
can't see
that's
that
what it's
far.
on. Okay.
I think it's like really robust. It explains everything. The attachments are excellent. They offer, in-depth rationale, very in-depth rationale for sort of some of the changes. The only thing is I don't see attachment 5. I could be completely missing it, but I kind of went through the attachments, and at least in this that I have, I don't know if I'm missing it, but maybe
Well,
you can
attachment
point me
5,
to
I
it.
believe, was the Public Works Department. We're still working on that one, tweaking that one.
Oh, it's just not there yet. Then
Yes.
that's why I
We
didn't
had to
see
take
it.
that.
Watch the agenda, probably tomorrow, hopefully.
Okay.
Hopefully, because that's why I was a little late. We were still working on that, but we're trying to make sure it's in the agenda tomorrow that goes out in the agenda, so
Okay.
you'll see that document.
Yeah, and it seems like there's kind of a summary rationale, there's job description, so yeah, it's got a lot of information
Sorry, I
there.
should have mentioned that 5 was missing.
Okay. No, I think this, hopefully some of these things, we have been talking about, retaining people for years, and hopefully this is at least a step to kind of help with some of these concerns and things.
That's all I had, Mr. Chairman, on
Okay, thank you.
that agenda item number 2.
Are there any public comments? Staff comments? Board comments? Next meeting. Any need to have a meeting before our next regularly scheduled meeting?
September?
Probably.
That would be after the,
September 21st is the next regular.
that would be after the budget's finally approved, if you want to, I don't know, unless you wanted a financial update then too or something, but unless you want to,
Well, there may be changes in the budget as we've seen it at that point.
Good.
Yeah, we should probably have an update at that
Okay.
point.
yeah,
Yeah.
the final numbers and
Right,
stuff.
the
yeah.
final numbers.
Yeah. Because the final public hearing is September 20th.
Okay,
That would be the day before your meeting.
right,
The day before, okay.
okay, that works.
Usually all the changes and stuff come in the first public budget meeting, so usually it'll be there, because obviously you gotta do the change and get it ready for the second one and
Right,
stuff, so.
okay. Any future agenda items? Seeing none, we'll adjourn the meeting at 2:48. Thank you all for coming.
Thank you.